Everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we are going to look at our second JavaScript project. So in the last lecture, or in the last project, we looked at building this amazing page where we looked at responsive navigation bar. So we managed to design the page. We managed to make it responsive. To those ones who mind to do the project, congratulations and thank you so much. You are doing great. At least make sure you practice that responsive, because you are going to encounter it in every project. So just know, every project you are going to do, so long as it has a navigation bar, you are going to have to do it. So it is good before you move to the next project that you have mastered the previous project, okay? Because sometimes we use those very concepts to add on, okay? So it is good, whatever project we do, make sure you get all those concepts. And if you have any questions, if it is not working, please you can comment in the video description. I will have that question. Those ones who are in the WhatsApp group, still post your questions in the WhatsApp group. We'll answer them, okay? So that was amazing project and I liked it so much. So in today's video we are actually continuing to build a new project, but it is going to start from actually this very one, okay? So in today's video we are looking at building a JavaScript pop-up model, okay? So what is a pop-up model? At least most of you have been navigating to different websites. So in some websites, when you go there, so assuming this is our website, so you have seen those scenarios when you click on some buttons and then a pop-up window opens, okay? So this is mostly on for instance login pages. Someone can have this login button. When you click on login, a login form pops up here. Or it can be on an e-commerce website when you say view details, and a pop-up model with a product details pop-up comes out. And yeah, that is most of the cases. Those are most used cases, okay? So in today's video what you're going to see is, want to use these our buttons we created, these CTA links we created last time. You see we have our page here, and then we have two buttons. So what we want is, if someone clicks on any of these buttons, if he clicks on this one or clicks on this one, or if he's in the responsive and clicks on any of these buttons, what we want is a pop-up model with a form to come, okay? And the model looks like this, okay? So someone clicks on this button and this pop-up comes on the screen, and someone can enter this form, can enter the full name. This is just for an example. This is not how our enrollment form looks like. If you go on our website, there is enrollment form, but this was just a small abstract of it. So assuming we take a full name and a course name, so for instance this pop-up model comes and it has some options. For instance, you can close it from here, you can also close it from here, and you can fill in the details, and you can click on enroll and you'll be enrolled. So today we're not going to look at the enrolment functionality, or sending the email, or doing anything. The most thing we want to look at is, how do you open this model when you click this enroll button, okay? So you're going to spend a couple of minutes and hours or anything trying to understand this whole concept, okay? Try to understand this whole concept. But to briefly describe that, you see that in the first place the model is hidden, okay? So we are not seeing the model, and that form is there and it is hidden, okay? So but when someone clicks it, and then it shows up. So when you click it, then it shows up here, and then you should have an ability to click here to close it, or click here to close it. Okay, yeah. So that would be so good. That would be good to implement this project, and then you can implement it in different ways. Okay, so for instance, you can also implement it on your portfolio. So on your portfolio, for instance, you have this talk to me, so you can have talk to me or contact me. So you can decide to put your contact form. You can decide to put it here. Maybe you say welcome to who, whatever your name is, and then you put your form here, and someone can send you a message. Okay, so I would be very grateful to see how you guys are going to use this project and implement it in your own projects. Okay, so let's dive in and see how we are going to manage, or how we are going to build it. So what you are going to concentrate on, the first thing you are going to do is we first handle the HTML CSS. Okay, so we first design this form, how it looks like this. Okay, so you're going to design this form, and after designing how this form looks like, then we can proceed now to adding all these functionalities. Okay, you're going to go ahead and do these functionalities, and it will be so good to see how we are going to do it. Okay, so let's jump in and do it. So I'm just going to go to my VS Code. So I've already opened this project. So this is our last project we did together. So if by any case you are watching this video, there are two options you can do. So you can go back and watch the previous video, how we came up with this responsive. Let me go live first. So you can go back on the channel. So go on the channel. I'll put the link to this video in the description, and watch how we built this page. Okay, so it is good you just go and see how we built this project. So we built this project, and the whole purpose of the project was to implement the responsive nav. Okay, we were building this nice responsive nav. Okay, so you can just go and see how we built this project. Just the link is in the description. Go and see how we did that. But in this, or you can download the code. So you can just, if you are not interested in watching it, you can again also follow this project. Just go in the description, go to GitHub. I will leave the GitHub to this project. Go to GitHub and download the project, and then start with us where we are right now. So before you start, make sure you have this starting point, you have this project loading in the browser, and everything is working properly. Okay, so if you are at that point, then let's go ahead. So what we want is to design our form. Okay, want to design our form. That is one thing. Want to design our form, and yeah, so let's just design the form exactly the way it is, and then we'll be doing other things sorry. Okay, so let me just go into the code. So here we have section hero, and you can see, and then to take you through the project, we have the header here, and then we have the section hero here. Okay, so below here, let me put in here, and I'm just going to say, I can just simply call it the form, or I could just say, so you can see this is a card. If you look at it, this is like a card. So this card is where it is containing the form. Okay, so this card is containing the form, or we could take this as the form itself. So it doesn't matter how you want to to design it, it doesn't actually matter. Just to know that you design it very well. Okay, so what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to do like this. So I'll just put it in a card. So I'm just going to enrollment card. So I'm just going to call a class enroll card, enroll card, just like that. And let me just know if this screen is big enough, and I can take off this sidebar like so. Okay, so this is great. I hope you are looking at the screen very well, and don't stress your eyes. I want you just to follow up very well. So in this card, if you look at it here, it has 3 sections. It has this header, it has the body, and it has the footer. As simple as that. Divide it into 3 sections. So we have card header, and then we have card body, and then finally we have card footer. So it is good you divide it like that. It is very easy to handle for sure. And then in the header we have 2 things. So in the header we have this text, and then we have this button with across this X. Okay, so I'm just going to go here, and I'm just going to say I have 2 things. So I'm just going to call this one h2 dot so I can give it a class of card heading, heading. Okay, and this is hub coding school. Okay, and then we have no, not in the footer, guys, not in the footer, in the header, card header here, sorry, in the header. So in the header we have 2 things. We have this heading, and then we have the button. Okay, so down here let me put in the button. So this button is the cross button. So I can give it a hashtag cross, or I can just say cross btn. Okay, and I'm just going to put 2 spans as usual, to put 2 spans. But you could just go and put in go to box icons and grab the cross button, the cross icon. So you could just go and get this one. This icon, you can find it on box icons. You can just go on box icons, get this cross icon, come and put inside the button, or you can just follow my method and put in the span tags. Okay, I'm doing that because sometimes I don't have internet connection while I'm recording my video, so I just simply put the span tags, and it is another way to show you that you can just build the icon by yourself using CSS. Okay, so that is great. I have that one done. So in the body we have the form. Okay, in the body we have the form. We don't need anything like action, just put the form. Okay, and in the form we have 2 inputs. So I'm just going to say dot form controller. So I'm just going to have a class called form control. Okay, and inside the form control I have the label. Okay, and the label, for instance, this is for the full name. Okay, full name, and here I'm just going to say full name. Okay, then below it I'm just going to put the input text. So you say input, and I'm just going to say text like that. And even if you don't put here anything, okay, don't put anything here, just input text, Okay, and if you wanted, you could put a placeholder. Okay, like enter the full name or anything. So if you could just say placeholder, and you could just say enter full name, enter your full name. We'll do that. Okay, so that is great, and I'm just going to duplicate it, and I'll say course name. Okay, so I'm not just going to complicate the form, I'm just going to put here course name, and here course name. Okay, and then on the placeholder I can enter your course, enter the course you want, enter the course name. Okay, that is great, and that is all what we have. We have just a small form inside the body, and then in the footer we have two buttons. Okay, so in the footer we have two buttons, and the first button is the button, and I'm just going to give it a hashtag enroll. Enroll, I would call it, I give it, maybe to differentiate it from others, let's give it a hash and call it maybe enroll. And this is also to show you how we select IDs. So I'm just going to say button enroll, and this one we're just going to create a button with an ID of enroll, just like that. You can see I have this enroll btn. I'm just going to call it enroll btn ID, and here you can just say enroll. Okay, that is great. And then we have two buttons, so I'm just going to duplicate this one, and the other one is a cancel. Okay, so here change this. You can just call this one can give this one also a class of cancel. Okay, so since even up here we have another one which is cancel, in the header we have the cross between this one. We could use the same class, cross between, instead of ID, let me give it a class, since they do the same role. So why I'm giving this one a cross between is not for actually decorating it. Okay, okay, let's just do this to show you cancel btn. So you just leave with an ID, but you just copy this ID and take it here. Take it, where is the here? So something can have both a class and at the same time it can have the cancel, okay, or the ID. So why this class cross btn can be used in CSS to apply styling to these span tags, and we can use this cancel btn in JavaScript. Okay, select this button in JavaScript, that's why we can do this. Okay, so if you wanted still, you could use cross btn, a class, to select it in JavaScript, but why not? Let's just try giving it ID, so that you can just know very many ways you can do this. Yes, you can use the cross btn, or you can use the ID cancel btn. Okay, so because why we are giving it an ID of cancel is that it actually does the same job so of closing the model. So if you see here what this cancel do, it is what exactly this close button do. So if someone clicks on this close, it closes the model, or if he clicks on a cancel, it also closes the model. So the fact that they do the same thing, that's why we actually do this. Okay, we do this. And to avoid confusion between this one, I'm just going to say register here, so that you don't confuse it with the with this other button of enroll. So this one is within this form, okay, and we might not see even its functionality for now because its purpose will be submitting the form. So what I'm just going to do is here where I had put enroll let me call this register, okay, and this one just going to call it register, so that it is really different. Okay, so that is cool. So let's move on. So at this point we have all the elements in our form. Let's look how it looks in the browser and we start working on it. Okay, so the first step is designing exactly how this form is before getting worried about how am I going to open it or close it. Simply make it look like this. So if it was a product page or a product detail page and you want it to look like this, to look the way it is, first design it first the way it looks like, and then other things they will come later. So let's look at how it looks in the browser. So scroll down and we have it here. You can see we have full name, course name, register, and enroll. So this is good. So let's make it look the way we want. Okay, so I'm just going to go to, so we have here, let me just do this somehow here. So we have the our card. So I'm just going to go to our styles. Okay, so we have the header, we have the hero. We could just go and create another one, form. Okay, so I'm just going to come here and I'll create another parser file and call it enroll enroll.scss. So this enroll is going to have all our stuff on the enrollment form. Okay, so don't forget to bring the styles inside here in these styles. So come here down and let's bring it in at import. Okay, and what are we importing? Dot slash, go here and select this enroll. Okay, those who are new to SAS, if you are watching this video and you have not done SAS before, I'm just going to leave in the link I'm going to leave the link in the description where you can go and get introduction to SAS, okay, and know what is going on with all this. How did we come to this? Okay, so if you have not watched or you don't know anything about SAS, you can still first watch about SAS, then you come back to this project. Okay, so for now I've brought in the styles into these main styles here. Okay, so let's go to enroll here and let's first select our enrollment card. So let's get our card, and first of all I can first give it a width and height. Okay, so let me first give it a width like of 600 pixels. Okay, and a background color of white. So I think we have here in our variables we have white, color white. Okay, so let's keep on using our variables. Okay, so this is good, and let's look. So far nothing much. Let me put a border so that we can look at what is happening, like 3 pixels, solid red. Okay, so I want just to know what is going on. I always put this border just to look at what I'm designing, so and to know if everything is applying. And it seems we haven't run watch SAS. Okay, so remember that. So let's watch SAS. Okay, so our SAS now is watching, and let's go and see. Okay, so this is great, and let's first put some padding around it. So let's say top and bottom 5 rem, and on the sides 3 rem. Okay, just to give some good space so that we can look at it. Really, maybe margin instead of padding. Let's do margin. I just want to give space around it so that we can look. Yeah, so this is good. So now we can look at it very well. Okay, so let's start with the header. So how is the header looking? So the header has a background color of black, and it is having a flex. So this side and this icon this side, that is a flex, and it also has some padding. So we can put padding right away on the card or on the form. So on this enroll card, let's put padding. So the margin has worked, but let's put padding at this top and bottom. We can just try to put 2 rem everywhere. Let's see that. Yep, so that one I think is good. Maybe we make it 3 rem. Okay, yep. So let's go ahead and start with the header. So in the header, yeah, go here and let's start with the header here. So the header has a background color of black. So you first check if you have black. So we have color black here, which is good. So inside here, I'm just going to select the card header and give it background color of color black, $color black. Okay, and that means we can give it color white. So color is $color white. Okay, and then we give it this prefix and we give it align items center. Okay, and then justify content, we give it space between. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, yeah, so we don't have the X button at this moment, and by the way, that padding, since this thing is closing the whole card, okay, we don't need. Let's first put this padding off. This padding of 3 rem, let's first put it off, so that I want this black attached on the side by side. Yeah, like that. Okay, so we are going to give individual paddings inside. So for instance, inside the, so this 3 rem here, okay, you can come and give 3 rem inside here. For instance, the header, we can give this padding so that it is just like that. Yes. Okay, that one might be somehow more bigger, maybe top and bottom. So top and bottom, let's make it 2 and maybe 3 on the side. Okay, yeah, that is more okay. Okay, so now let's go ahead and work on this X, this cross button here. Okay, so to work on that, I'm just going to go in the card header. So if you look at where that button is located, is inside the card header we have this button, and inside this button we have the span tags. Okay, so that is good. So let me go to header, and in the card header I have the button. Okay, so I can select the button, okay, like so, and inside the button we have the span. Okay, we have the span, okay, like that, and in the span we can give it, for instance, width. So let's first set with 50 pixels for now, and let's say height. Let's give 2 pixels, and then let's give background color, and the background color, let's make it color white. White, let's make it white, and let's see that. Okay, that one seems not show up. Okay, so let me just give some background color here to the buttons. Background color, let me give it red so that you can see it, what is happening on it. Okay, so can we first write something here? Let me inside this button here, like to just for testing, see why it's not showing up. Okay, so it shows up here, and let's first give also color white here. So close this and close this. Okay, so color white. So we're putting these ones for testing. That's why I'm not using variables. I'm just going to remove them in a minute. I'm using for testing purposes. Okay, so these we have to first of all say display flex. Okay, remember these span tags, we want these span tags to, there are two span tags, so you can see the line now is being seen because they are, when you don't put display flex, they are all in the same position. Okay, so now we have put display flex. Okay, I'll put display flex, and what I can do is, so the first one, so I can put here in these span tags, I can just say I can give a class here, small class, for instance, first, and then this one second. Just this is to make simple. I don't want to make a weird selector, just to identify them. Okay, so you have the first and you have the second one. Okay, so to differentiate them, we have this span with that. So let's come here and we select the first, so like dot first. Okay, for it, let's give it background color of red, not red. Let's just give it background color of green, just to see it if it is being selected. Okay, so down here, okay, so you can see we have a green, here and a white one. Okay, so this tutu we can now remove it. So let me remove this tutu thing. This one, it is not needed. We are testing to see our first and second span tags. Okay, so now we have these two lines. These are the two span tags. So what I want is, I want them to make them as a cross. Okay, I want to make them as a cross. So what I can do is, first of all, is I can so rotate, like for instance the first one, I can just say transform, okay, and rotate. So I can rotate this one at 45 degrees. Okay, and let's first see what is going to happen to it. Okay, so this is, yep, so you can see it there. I'm just going to rotate the second one, so this second one, so this second here, so this second one I can rotate it at negative 45 degrees, just the other way around. Okay, now the problem we have is that they are actually rotated, but then how do we bring them together? Okay, so one way we could do this is using positioning, I guess. Okay, we could use positioning. We can just say, for instance, let me try to say positioning, to use positioning, and we see if it can work. So to the button, position relative, and to the span, let's say position absolute. Okay, position absolute, and then to this, let's put them in the center. Okay, so let's say left 50%, okay, and top 50%. Okay, so that is a trick whereby you can just try out, and you can see so far we having 2 green ones. Okay, so but this is not bad, and it seems like the width is crazy. Let's make it 30 here. Okay, so yeah, it is coming actually. It is coming, and maybe 20. Let me see. Yeah, I think 20 is more okay. And can I go to this button and give it cursor pointer? So it needs to have the pointing on it. Okay, great. So let me just give it like what? So what we want is now is to have our nice looking button. Okay, what do I want to do is, where do I have green? Where do I have green? Background color green. Oh, okay, so instead of green, so the background color is white. Okay, so to this background color is white. So let me remove this and we see if it's going to be white. Yep, so it is white. Great, so this was more easy than I expected. So let me just repeat the steps to those ones who might be lost. So we have in our HTML right now. So in HTML, let's look at how it is designed. In the HTML, we have a button with a cross btn and an ID of cancel btn. It has 2 span tags, the first span and the second span. Our purpose with these 2 span tags is to create an X out of them. To create an X, we have to rotate the first one at angle of 45 degrees and the second one at an angle of negative 45 degrees, so that they are facing in the opposite direction. So to do that, what we did in our button, the first thing is this color and background. Right now they don't matter a lot. Okay, so now we did a flex. This one will just help us to see them, to display them flex. We have position relative because the span we are positioning them absolute. So I used this 50% and left 50% to put them like in the center of the button. Okay, and then I give the span a width and a height. Okay, so this height is what you can, that's why what makes us possible to see it here. Okay, it is what makes us possible to see it. And for the background color, we're going to make it transparent here. Background color, let's make it transparent so that we don't see anything there. Okay, yeah, so that we don't see anything. Okay, so moving on. So what we did is, to the first one we rotated it at angle 45. The second one we rotated at angle of negative 45. Okay, so this one makes one go this side, another one go this side. So that's how basically what we did. Okay, here the most important thing is this positioning relative, and we gave it also a cursor pointer. Okay, we give this cursor pointer, and to the span give it a height and width. Then we give it position absolute to be positioned where we want it. Give left and top just to make sure that they're in the center. Okay, and if you wanted, you could even move it up somehow, but I'm very happy with where it is right now. Okay, yeah, you could just, for instance, move it x-wise by using a transform translate. We could transform and translate, transform translate, like on x. Most especially I can translate maybe x only. and we could give it 50%, and we see what that one takes it, -50, and let's see where it is going to move them. No much, not really much. And why not much really is because, let me cut this and let me remove this. Okay, so not to complicate it, but when you do transform, I could add this here. Okay, I could add a translate here after this one, but let's not complicate it. Let's just leave it. We have what we want. Why I wanted to move them is that you can see this padding here is not the same here, but it's okay. We can have that. In the first place, you would use an icon here, and you don't have to go through all these troubles of making this using CSS. But I find it very cool to go ahead and make this in CSS, you know, like making an X, and it increases your creativity of how you handle things. Okay, so I'm done with that part, and I'm happy with how the header looks like. Okay, I'm happy with how the header looks like. This can work for us now. Okay, for now it's going to work. Okay, so moving on, let's work on this on our form. So the first thing is on the form. So if we move on to the body here, card body. Okay, in the card body I'm just going to leave it with white. It's okay. But in the card body we have this class called form control. Okay, so that class form control in the card body is just to arrange these to the input and the label. Okay, so let me just target this form control here, and the purpose of that form control is actually to make them look like this. So you can see this label, and these ones are in this vertical situation, which is a flex. Okay, so by default you see how the label is an inline. You see how they are arranged. So want to put them on the other top, bottom, or in the vertical direction. So I'm just going to go to this form control, and the first thing I'm just going to apply. So let me close this button, and also let me close this card header. Okay, so down here I can just target card footer, card body instead, card body, and in the card body we have the form, and inside the form we have the form controller. Okay, so in the form controller the most important thing is to display flex, and afterwards we change flex direction, okay, to column. As simple as that. So let's see what it has done. Okay, yeah, it has done this. And to the card body let's give padding. So to the card body let's give some padding. So top and bottom let's give 3 rem to top and bottom, and the sides let's do 4 rem. And let's first see how that one looks like. Yep, I'm happy with that. And let's give some gap. So in here on this let's give a gap of about 1 rem, and not 2 rem. Let's try 1 rem. Like I want to see here, yeah, okay, I want to see that. And then to the input we'll put some margin bottom. I think we can even give it to this form controller, margin bottom of also maybe 2 rem. Let me see if 2 rem is too much to give. Okay, this one looks okay. It looks okay. I could target the labels and make them bold, but I'm just going to leave them like that. So let me work on the inputs. Okay, so and in the form control you can just go ahead and select the input. Okay, so we have some input here, and to the input you could say, for instance, padding. So top and bottom let's try 1 rem and 2 rem on the sides. I don't know if this is too huge. Okay, not too huge. I think you can work with that. Okay, I think we can work with that. Okay, yep. So let's just leave this at that. Let's just work on our footer. Okay, so you can see the footer has some properties like this header. So I could just copy that. So for instance, let's see in our header. Okay, so you can see we have the same things like background color, and you can just give the padding and the flex and line items. So this, okay, I can copy this, or I could have put a comma here, but you know what, they just copy that, card body, and then why not have card footer. Card footer, and let's put these details. We have the padding, we have the background color black and color white, display flex, align item center, and justify content space between. Let's look at that. Okay, so this is not a bad start. This is not a bad start for now. Let's work on our buttons. Okay, so the buttons we have, one is a cancel button, and let's get these classes here. So we're done with the body here. I can minimize that. So in the footer we have the register button and the cancel button. Okay, so I'm just going to use those ones. So select that hashtag. So these buttons, all of them, they have some similarities. So before we go further, let's come here and we target just a button. Okay, so selecting these buttons, we can select and give it some padding, 1 rem, 2 rem on the sides, and let's look how that one looks like. Okay, so they're just looking, that is more better. Let's give them cursor pointer, and yeah, okay, so that is good. You see that? So they just give this this one is supposed to be cancel. Okay, let me see here. Here is supposed to be cancel. So just select this cancel button and we give it a red color. So you could first create it here in our variables if you have red, let's see. So don't have red, but we could just create color red. I always want to, any color you use in your project, make sure you have it as a variable so that you can actually always change it very easily. So I just say color red here, and we're not just going to see, we're just going to simply use red actually, just like that. So here I can just come and say dot cancel button, and by the way, this is a hash. Okay, this is an ID, and this is how we select ID using a hash. And let's give it background color of color red, like that. And we could just change also the color to color white. Okay, let's look at how it looks like. Okay, this is good. Let's give some border radius of like 5 pixels. Border radius 5 pixels. Okay, so that somehow stylish. Okay, so this is great. This is great. So the register button is yellow, is having this color yellow. I'm seeing here. It is orange, color orange. So let's select this register btn. So I'm selecting it here. So after this hash register, and we can give it background color, and we're using color orange. Okay, like that. I don't know if the text have to change. Does it? No, we can just leave it like that. Okay, great. So you can see the first step to producing our project is done. So we have this amazing form. I'm just going to remove that border. So I can remove that border, this one from here. Okay, so right now we are having our amazing form. This is how it looks like. Okay, yeah, you can go ahead and give it you can go ahead and give it, I think I just leave that border there. Maybe we change it to black or something, so that, yeah, let me just leave the border. Let me make it color black. So color black. Okay, so yes, just like to give it that we can see it. Yeah, why not? So that's how the form turns out. We have everything we need. Okay, and that is always the first step. First, build up your model. Build this model, and by the way, this is what you call a model that is going to pop up. So this one is the model is going to pop up, and that's why we are doing this. Okay, so make sure everything is looking the way you want before you start getting into designing this whole thing. Okay, so it is always a great idea. You first work on the design and everything is working the way you want, and then we are going to turn it into a pop-up. So the first step is we don't want it to actually be there. Okay, we want to center it somewhere like here. We want to bring it in the center here. And how are we going to do that? So what we want is, we don't want this form to be this side. Okay, we want to bring it in the center. Why? So one take, for instance, if I click enroll, I want it to come to pop up from here, or to show up from here in the center of the page. Okay, so that is good. So how do we do that? We are going to use positioning. Okay, we can use positioning, and if I go back to my HTML, okay, if I go back to my HTML, let me just scroll up here and minimize that. So in HTML, we have 3 components per now. We have the body. Inside the body, we have the header, and then we have the hero section, and then now we have this card, which is containing our form. Okay, so this is our pop-up card. So now, how do we position it? So the first thing in positioning is that go to the parent element and give it position relative, and go to this one you want to position, and we can give it position absolute. Okay, so that is great. So I can just go to globals, and I think the body is that side. Okay, so if we don't have anywhere the body this time to select it, we can select it in the globals. So body, and let's give it position relative. Okay, as simple as that. And to the card, so let's go back to our enroll, and to this card let's give it position absolute. Position absolute, like that. And then we could just now take it to the top. Okay, so if we say top, and let's say 50%. Okay, and then also say left, let's give it 50%, and we see how where it is right now. Okay, yes, okay, that is not bad. This is where it is right now. I think we could just bring it more to the top. So let's just say top first of all. So left, let's try like 20, and then top also 20, or yeah, 20, why not? Okay, so let's see now. Okay, so that is not bad so far where it is located. So let's just move it to the top a little bit more, 10%. Okay, yep, so that is it. And then our footer, that padding looks crazy. Let's work on that card footer. So this padding top and bottom, let's make it 1. Okay, so it doesn't look crazy so much like that. Okay, so great, that is okay. So I'm happy with where it is located right now. Okay, you could make it much more smaller, but I make it more bigger so that you can see it very well. But you can see the first thing I've used is I've used positioning to position it where I want it. Okay, and you can see that it is also on top. It can happen that it can be down this content and you're not seeing it. Just give it a higher Z index, but ours like is showing up here and it is on top of everything. Okay, so the whole thing now we have it in our hands. The only thing that is remaining is to make sure that by default is hidden, and when we click on these buttons or these CTA links, this pop-up shows up, and when we click on cancel or when we click on this cross, it disappears. Okay, that is the main purpose of this. Like, this is the whole where the whole project is centered. When you have your card designed, you have your pop-up finished, it has all the necessary buttons, the cancel button and everything you need. Now this time is time to put in JavaScript. So the only thing JavaScript is going to help us is to hide and show the pop-up. When we click on the enroll button, it shows the pop-up and hides the pop-up. So there are very many ways we can do. First of all is we could use the active class. You know, I like that active class. So we're just going to create the active class that we can put on this enroll card. Okay, so what does the active class do? So by default we are going to give it display none. Okay, so we could say, for instance, so I'm just going to create here the active. So we could just say show pop-up, okay, or show form or show card. Let's just call it show card, this class, as simple as that. And its purpose, so let's go here and we give this display none. Okay, so here we don't have any display actually, so let's just say display none. So when you say display none, this form is going to, the pop-up disappears. So we could first say in our show card, we could just say display block, as simple as that. So if I put this class here, if I get this class and I put it in HTML on here, show card, it should now put the display block on this card and we should see it. You see that? So now we can actually see it. We can see it, and you guys, you have seen that. Okay, so that is great, and that is the only thing we want. So what we want in JavaScript is simply to actually do that for us. We are not going to put this class by ourselves here. Okay, there's no, you can control that. So what we want is this class should be put when we click. So when I click on this enroll button or on this one, I should see the what? I should see the pop-up coming here. Okay, so that is great. We have the plan. The plan is when we click here, it shows up. So in JavaScript, when we click here, we get the other class and we add it on the pop-up. Okay, let's get to the job. So but first thing is I go to my JavaScript. So this is the JavaScript we did last time for the hamburg menu, and we don't want to tamper with it. So the only thing we are going to add on is more selection. So here you see we have element selection. So I'm just going to put here element selection. So you do all the selections of the elements you want here on top here. So we have the hamburg, we have the nav, but we want more things. First of all, we want these buttons. Okay, we want these buttons here. Okay, want these buttons, the enroll buttons, and there are so many. So in this case, I'm just going to show you many tricks. So but the first thing is we could get all these CTA links, const CTA links. Actually they are links. Okay, they are links. is equal to document dot query selector. Okay, and if we look at these CTA links, what they have in common, if I go to the header, so you just see the header, and in the header you see that it has this CTA link class. I can copy it, and even if you continue to the hero section, you see that it has also CTA link. Okay, so they have this class, so I can select using that in JavaScript. So I can say query selector, and I'm just going to select this dot CTA link. Okay, so let me just go and console.log this one, CTA links here, and you can see I want CTA links. Okay, but if I console.log this, let's go and we check our console. So I have here my console here, and you can see it is giving me only one link, and probably the first one. Okay, so remember those who did DOM manipulation, we talked about this. Okay, so query selector will select the first instance. Okay, if you use here query selector, only query selector, it will select the first instance of that element, or the element with this class. So to select all the elements with the class CTA links, we have to use query selector all. Okay, so we get used to use this query selector all. And why are we selecting all of them at once? Because we want actually to apply to all those buttons, even this one. Okay, that's why we are applying to all of them. Okay, so and then you can see here they bring us what we call a node list. So those who have not done those lectures before, this might be new to you, but we talked about this during those lectures. When you use query selector, or it will return a node list, and you can see it has all these links here. So if I see I'm hovering on them, it is showing me those links. So like for instance, this link here, it is this one, you see that, and then there is this one. Okay, so this is great, and it is selecting all these links. Okay, so this is great. And so how do we attach an event listener to all these links? Okay, so now we have all the links, but then how do we attach an event listener? We cannot say, for instance, so here down we have event listeners, event listeners. Okay, event listeners, and we have this one for the Hamburg. Down here we are going to have the one for the CTA links. So we cannot say CTA links dot add event listener. We cannot add, that one is impossible. There is no way you can add an event listener to all of the buttons, and if you tried, it would not work. Okay, so you cannot add to this. This is a node list. You get, this is a node list, and you cannot add an event listener to the node list. What you can do is we are going to loop through these links. Okay, this is where all our array methods come in handy. Okay, so we are going to go through all these links, and to each of the link we add an event listener. Okay, so how do we loop? So we are going to use a for each loop. There are many methods you would have used here. You can use a for of, you could use map, can also work, but we are going to use a for each method. In this case, it can get the job done. Okay, so we know that CTA for each of, so for each it takes in a function which has access to the item. Okay, so it takes in a function which has now a CTA link itself. So now it has access to the CTA link. Okay, and we could do something like this. Not really that. Okay, so So here we have a function, okay, which has access to the CTA link. So if right now I say console.log, okay, console.log CTA link. So let's see what this one does. So I'm console.log CTA link, and you see, yeah, this is great. So you can see it is actually consoling all the links, each link independently. So we have this first one, we have the second one, and we have even the third one. Okay, so this is great. We have done a for each on these links. So this links returns a node list, and you can see here. So a node list is just like an array. Okay, we talked about this. Okay, so a node list is just like an array, or it is an iterable, and that means that it can actually accept the array methods like for each. So we say go through all the links and access a link itself. Okay, so after having this link itself, now we can now access the link, CTA link, and now we can go ahead and now we can add an event listener. Okay, so now because here we are accessing each individual link, okay, so let's add an event listener. So add event listener, and the event listener takes in two things. The first one, it takes in an event, so click, and then also a function that is going to be returned when that event occurs. Okay, so now what we want to say is, can you console.log that link has been clicked, or we could just say CTA link clicked. Just as simple as that. So just stick to the principles or to the basics. Okay, we first did the for each here, and this for each, its purpose is to give access to this CTA link, an individual CTA link. After we have gotten this CTA link, what do we want? Excuse me. What do we want with this CTA link? We want this CTA link and we want to add an event listener to it. We want it to listen for the click. And then we go ahead and we add the event listener to the CTA link. Okay, and then the event listener takes in two parameters. The first one is the event, which the event is the click. And the second one is the function that is going to be done when that event occurs. Okay, great. So now we have console.log clicked. Okay, so now let's just try to see if this one makes sense now. So I'm just going to click here on enroll. Okay, so you saw that, like, it clicked and then it disappeared. Just going to repeat, clicked and then disappeared. So now that behavior actually is caused by the default behavior of the links. So by default, links do not behave like buttons. Okay, so the purpose of the links is normally to take somewhere to another page. That is the default behavior. So when you click a link, by default is having something it is expecting. It is expecting to take someone to another page. But right now we are giving it another task. We are giving it a task. Instead of taking someone to another page, we simply want it to do something else. So in JavaScript, sometimes you have to first remove that default behavior that it is doing. So you can see it is refreshing the page every other time. So we click it, and you see here, here, you see where on the refresh button here. So keep the eyes here. You said if every time we click it, it actually refreshes the page. Okay, so we don't want that behavior. Okay, so to remove that behavior, we can do it by accessing the event object. So for this event, this click event, we actually have access to that event here, and this is this E. You can call it event. Okay, you can just go ahead and call it event here, but you just normally just use E to represent event. Okay, so now we could even console.log event. Okay, we could go ahead and also console.log event that e. Okay, if wanted to look at it, let's also do that. So I just click, and then you can also, you see it disappears. Okay, but then on that event, what we are most interested on the event is that it has a method called prevent default. Okay, prevent what? Default. So this line of code here, e.prevent default, you are going to see it in many places, but its purpose is to remove that default behavior of that particular item or particular element you are using. Sometimes particular elements in HTML, they have particular behavior in the browser, and links, they have that behavior. They expect to refresh the page and take someone to a new page. So to remove that behavior, we use that one line of code, e.prevent default behavior. Okay, so now after putting that line of code, let's go back. Now when I click, you see CTA link clicked and it is there. You get? So you can see this one line of code has saved us a ton of work. Okay, so now the CTA link clicking is functioning. Now it's the time we add that active class to the model. Okay, so that is great, but then where is the model now? Can we first get the model? So go back here on element selection and let's bring in the model. Okay, so go back to HTML and let's look at our model. How does it look like, and is this enroll card? Okay, so just simply Ctrl C, come back to our app.js, and on top here, so const, okay, const model, so I'm just going to call it a model, is equal to document dot query selector, document dot query selector. And what am I selecting? I'm selecting dot this enroll card. Okay, just like that, document dot query selector enroll card, and let's go ahead and print out, or let's console.log this model. Okay, sorry, let's go here and print out this model. So let's see. Okay, so it is putting it here, div here with this dot enroll card. So it has been selected. Okay, great. Now next, so it is manipulating this model. So what we want is, when we click on the link, we want to add this show class. Remember, so you have this show card class. So what we want is, in fact, we could just even modify it. We call it show model. Show model. Okay, to make just more sense. So now what we want is this show model class, and of course we are going to sort of put the hide model class. Okay, so now in our JavaScript here, what we want is, when we click, we access the model. So just say model dot class list dot add, and we are adding a class, and that class is show model. Okay, as simple as that. So let's go and see if the magic is going to happen. Okay, so the responsiveness of that card, don't mind, we'll work on that later, but I just click. Okay, boom, it comes. Okay, the responsiveness, we can work on that later, but it is coming. Okay, so of course we have to access the close btn now. So at this point, you can see it is stuck on the screen. So let's work also on this close functionality first. Okay, so work on this close functionality. When we click here, it should close. Okay, so now can we first get the cross buttons? So the cross buttons, we have two of them. We have this X and then we have this cancel. So we have to select all these two buttons and we do the same thing we did. Okay, so I'm just going to come here and here on the below the model, I'm going to go and get the cross buttons. Const cross buttons, okay, is equal to document dot query query selector, or remember that, so we are selecting all now, query selector all. Okay, we are selecting all the buttons with which class. So just go here and we look at our cross buttons. So we have them here as having this ID called cancel. So okay, so I'm just going to copy this. So if you look at this button, it also has cancel here in the header, and even in the footer we have a cancel button. So we can select them using this ID. So we select all the buttons with the class cancel button. How do we do that? So we come here and say const cross buttons is document query selector all. So we are using query selector all here simply to select not one instance but all instances with an ID of cancel btn. So let's console.log cross buttons and we see if they are being selected. Going back this side here, go to console and I have a node list with 2 items. Okay, so that means they are being selected. Okay, that is great. That is great. So those 2 buttons are being and it is also a node list. So every time you use query selector all, just know you get an iterable object called a node list where you can iterate or where you can go through and get a specific button. Okay, so now let's go here and for the cross, I'm just going to go and say cross buttons dot for each of the button. So for each of, so here it does the function, and this function gives us access to the cross button. So here we have the cross button itself, one button like that. Okay, and so we can now console.log a cross button. Okay, so you see now we have access to an individual btn. Okay, we have an individual btn. If I just do that, and you can see each button has been put here, one with this class, another one here. So you can see it has selected this both 2 individual. We have access to each of the button independently, and after you have this button, you can now do a lot with this button. Okay, so let's just add an event listen. So cross btn dot add event listener, and we are listening for a click. Okay, and then we have this function that is going to run when the click happens. So inside here we can also console.log first that the cross button has been clicked. Okay, cross, in fact let's just do alert here. Just do alert cross button clicked, close button clicked. Okay, like that. So I'm just when I click this cross button is going to run this function, okay, which says alert cross button clicked, and let's try it. So let me just go here and click enroll. The pop-up comes. Now let me click on any of this one, and you see cross button clicked. Okay, and then I click on this one, cross button clicked, and this is amazing. Okay, So we see we are listening actually very well, and for the clicks on 2 of these buttons. Okay, so now what we want is actually to hide or to remove the active class from this model when that one happens. So what do we want to happen? Actually, what we want to happen is get the model, okay, and then remove. So access the class list and then remove a class called show model. Okay, so as simple as that. Want you to remove it when someone clicks, remove this class which is showing the model. And if that one is successful, now we show the model and then we can hide the model. Look at that. Close the model, show it, close it. I love this. I love this, man. Okay, so this is what you have been working on this whole project. Okay, click here and this comes and someone can fill his things. Okay, and can fill his things and he can just register. So by the way, you can also just click on register and it also can just close the model. Okay, so you can just also add the functionality here. If someone clicks, it submits the data and then it closes the model. So in the future we are going to look at that, and don't be surprised if it becomes our next project to see how do you submit actually the email and how do we validate. We could do form validation first. Before you click on this register, we could validate this data here. Okay, if this is okay. So, and it might be our next project, and you validate this form. Like if someone has put wrong things here or anything, validate the form, and then when you click on register, it closes the model and then it continues. Okay, so that one is a project is well done. However, you could go ahead and put this project and make it more bigger. So the first thing you can add, first of all, when this model pops up, we can hide all other things and we can also remove this scroll. Okay, that is one thing. When this model pops up, we can bring in the overlay. Okay, this is not how all models work. So when the model pops up, okay, we can switch on the overlay, and the overlay can stop this whole thing from moving. Okay, the overlay can stop this whole thing from moving. And how do we do that? So if we wanted to put in the overlay functionality, so right now the functionality of the pop-up is working, but there are some other things that you can actually add on, like for instance bringing in the overlay. Okay, so the overlay can also be covering this whole surface. Okay, so let's say if you wanted to put in the overlay, so you could just come here and not inside the card. Okay, we have the card here, but on top here, okay, you could go down here or anywhere and put there a class of overlay, just like that. Overlay, like that. So this overlay, its purpose is that if this model is in place like this, we are not able to click somewhere else. You are only able to only see these things here in this model. You're not supposed to scroll. That's the first thing. You're not supposed to have access to these other things like clicking on projects and what. However, you can just implement it like that. You leave it at this point in time where people can still click here. Maybe that will be a unique model for you, but most of the times people, they will just inactivate all other things on the page and they only focus you to be on this pop-up alone. And if you wanted that one to happen, you bring in a third component that calls overlay. And this overlay, its purpose, so if we go to CSS, I'm just going to put it inside here in the enroll. So on top here, we can work on the overlay. Okay, so this overlay, normally the characteristics of an overlay, one is it will have position fixed. Okay, it will have a background color, so we can use RGBA, and in this RGBA we can use it has RGBA, you have access to the color and then its alpha or its opacity. So we can just have color black, for instance, and then maybe let's say 0 point let's say point maybe 6. Okay, so when you give it position fixed, okay, and then you can just give it, for instance, top 0, left 0, right 0, and bottom 0. Okay, so when you give it like this is what actually results in. Okay, so, and let's see, do we give it a height of 100% or 100 VH? I don't know, but the thing it has done is that however scrolling is there, but you have no access to other things. You see that you have no access to clicking on any other thing. The only thing you have access to is actually clicking on only this. Okay, you can only close this. Now after you have closed it, actually the overlay is still there, and we want to remove the overlay right now. Okay, so what, and you can't access these buttons right now, they are inactive because the overlay is there. So now we could have the overlay, so let's have here, so the overlay can have in the first place display none. Okay, so we don't want the overlay in the first place. Okay, the only thing you want is if we click here, it should activate the overlay. Okay, it should activate the overlay. When I close the button, it should remove the overlay. That is how the overlay works. So we give it display none, and then we are going to create another class which says show overlay. Okay, so we have this class, and its purpose, it said display block. Okay, only that. Okay, only that. So that is just showing the overlay, just like that. And now we can control this. We can control this in JavaScript, this class here. So what do we want in JavaScript? So let's start with the CTA link. So when this CTA link adds the model class here, we want it to go ahead and access the overlay. So in this case, let's first select the overlay here. So let's go ahead and select the overlay. So const, let me just put here, const the overlay. So this overlay is equal to document dot query selector, and it is only one, that's why you're using query selector, and it is accessed by the class of overlay. And let's go ahead and print it out on the console, overlay, and let's see on the console if we can see this one. Make sure before you start applying event listeners and manipulating, make sure you can see that div selected. Okay, so you can see it here, and that is great. Okay, that is great. So now what do we want? What we want is when we go to these CTA links, so when we click for instance enroll button, the first thing we want it to do is get the model and show it. At the same time, we want it to get the overlay and show it. So on overlay dot add, okay, and we are adding a class show overlay. So let me just show what we have beside the CSS class. Yeah, so it is this one, show overlay. I'm just going to copy this, come here and do that. Okay, so we want it to go to the overlay and show it. And then on the other hand, if we click the cross button, we should remove the class of ovary. So we want to go on the ovary and remove that class. So okay, so here we say ovary dot class list dot remove. Okay, and what are we removing? We are removing the show ovary class. I think I still have it here. Okay, so go to the ovary class list and remove this class. That's what this one means. Okay, so now let's now see it in action. Okay, so click, you see that? So you click, the ovary comes, and we only have this form. Okay, so you can go ahead and enter my full name. Okay, enter your full name. Okay, like that, whatever your name is. Okay, you enter the course name, maybe front end dev course. Okay, and now I could go ahead and register if the functionality was there, or I could go ahead and cancel. And you see, when you cancel, the ovary disappears. So guys, this is our second project and it is functioning very well, and I'm very happy for the project. If you are happy and you can put this in your project, those ones who are building portfolio project, it is a good way to show up your skills, so that you can put this ovary, and you can even take it more step further and put animations. So on this active class, you see this class we are putting in the CSS. What is this class? This enroll, the show ovary, and this one, the show model. You can go ahead and don't do only this. You can add in very many things, okay, like animations. You can put them at this point. But I just wanted to keep it minimalistic, and so that you understand the basics and how we have done this whole project. And if this is working for you, for sure, share with others. We have not worked, you can so work on making it responsive. That is your task now. You can make it responsive and look good also on mobile, so that just simply reduce this width and make it the width to fit in the phone. So instead of saying it is here where we used 600 pixels, you can instead use view width, so that it is responsive. Okay, yeah, so just try that one out, and I would like you guys to try out the product pop-up. So you can just go and try building on your portfolio project. So in your portfolio, you put in where you have here talk to me or contact me. Put your contact form inside here in the pop-up, so that if someone clicks, it can open up and someone can write you something. Or you try also building the product pop-up, and I might put these ones. Actually, you can just check on our website, this is Hub Coding School, and you will find some of those challenges there, and I will also leave the link in the description. So share this project with others, and thank you so much for watching and being here at the channel, learning all these principles together and make the web beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed, so that we can make more content. Thank you so much. See you.